Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. Today we're here with a replay from the tournament this last weekend. I'm not sure 100% when this video is going to be coming out, but this was from my Mercenaries Melee tournament. This is Jaime Lannister taking on Zombie Mike. Since I was having the players submit their replays using the approved meme lords for the potential prize, I do have quite a few replays from the tournament to show you guys. This is one of them. Of course, we've got Empire versus Vampire counts, Volkmar the Grim here, 2 Demigryph Knights with halberds. We've got a whole bunch of Free Company Militia, including the Sterling's Revenge. Front line is Spearmen with shields ranked up to rank 9. That means they have 56 melee defense. And we've also got the Tattersouls and Sigmar's Sons in the front. We've also got Jade Wizard and a Bright Wizard as well. As for the Vampire counts, we've got 2 Corpse Carts with Unholy Lodestone, a regular old Vampire Lord on foot, mix of Graveguard and Skeleton Warriors. We've got Spearmen out on the flanks, a couple of Black Knights here, and then Vanguard deployed out on the far side. We've got 2 units of Hex Wraiths. Very interesting. So yeah, right off the bat, you can see the Vampires obviously going to be advancing across the board. If we take a look here, this Bright Wizard does have Flaming Sword of Ruin, so those Hex Wraiths are going to have to be extremely careful about how they take this engagement, and where they go, what units they fight. Likewise, on the flip side of that, Jaime Lannister is going to have to use that Bright Wizard very appropriately and make sure that he keeps that Flaming Sword of Ruin ready for when those Hex Wraiths come in. You can see the Free Company Militia starting to open up shots here. Another fireball being popped off, going to continue to plink away at those Corpse Carts. Corpse Carts, of course, with the Unholy Lodestone, provide both healing and that Vigor Mortis melee attack and defense buff. So definitely good to try and take that out as quick as possible. A quick hit and run charge in the front line by these Demigryph Knights just to disrupt the Skeletons' advance. And then, melee engagement's going to get underway. Here come the Skeletons charging into the Tattersouls. They're going to meet them with double maces and Furious Faith, of course. And the Free Company pull back a little bit. You can see that the Hex Wraiths are just kind of hanging around right now, trying to be a little bit patient and see if they can wait until the Flaming Sword of Ruin gets used. Likewise, the Demigryph Knights are going to stay pretty patient for the Empire, just sitting back in a protection position, making sure that these Free Company can continue to fire. And I actually really like the use of these ranked up Spearmen here, because they have such high melee defense, even Graveguard will have a hard time getting through them. 56 melee defense is a serious amount, and obviously the Graveguard have decent melee attack with the bonus versus infantry, still going to be pretty bad against the high melee defense of those Spearmen. Of course, the Tattersouls as well, getting some healing. Them and the Sigmar Sons being unbreakable is going to be very key here, but you can see the Hex Wraiths sort of circling around in the back. These Graveguards should shoot through this little gap here, and they could get into this line of Free Company and engage. You can see there's a gap here. There's also a gap here. There's 3 units blobbed up on this Tattersoul right here, so like one of these Graveguards should peel out, shoot up through this gap, and start to engage on these units in the back line. That Wind of Death did a little bit, but honestly, for the amount of Winds of Magic that he just spent right there, probably wasn't worth it. At this point, the Hex Wraiths are going to attempt to engage, but you can see the Flaming Sword of Ruin is ready on station, and this is basically going to be a worst-case scenario. Demigryph Knights with halberds, with Flaming Sword of Ruin, fighting against these Hex Wraiths here, and this is going to go about as badly as you would expect for these Hex Wraiths. They are just getting absolutely demolished here by that flaming magic damage. And of course, the flaming damage does apply to the ranged units here as well, firing at the Free Company, the Free Company firing at the Corpse Cart, and these other units as well will affect them. You can see we don't have too many summons so far in the back line. I think honestly the summons would have been a better way to interrupt. I mean, Free Company can fight zombies just fine. They have good enough stats to be able to fight the zombie summons without too much issue, but at the very least you can keep them from firing like this. At this point, they're just continuously firing in here, and another very nice fireball on that Corpse Cart there. Here comes the zombie summon a little bit late. Again, he is able to tie down several units of Free Company there, and that would have been a more effective use of his magic, I think, than that Wind of Death. That Wind of Death, unless you overcast it, it really doesn't do that much, and if you do overcast it, it costs your entire Winds of Magic pool, and can potentially, cost you quite a bit. You can see here, this is a great use of the Hex Race to rear charge these Demigryph Knights while they don't have their magic damage active. They're going to take a lot of damage here. Likewise, though, the Hex Race will take damage in return, and it's just not going to be amazing. The Spearmen with shields with their good melee defense, and the Free Company able to pour in fire as well. And although the physical resistance of the Hex Race will help mitigate that damage, I mean, even if they each only do 1 damage per shot, it's still, over time, and with this many unit models firing, is going to do a lot of damage. You can see the Hex Wraiths are crumbling away there. So, with both units of Hex Wraiths gone, that's a big power loss for the Vampire Counts. They're going to have a hard time coming back. And this Free Company are in a position to just continuously fire away. You can see this unit of Black Knights here, finally getting all the way up and around, is going to be able to shut down some of these Free Company. But they have been allowed to fire just for far too long here. Again, the Vampire player should have peeled off some of these units from these blobs, shot up through the gaps. He could have occupied a lot of these Free Company between units shooting through the gaps and zombie summons. He could have occupied all these infantry here, potentially gotten the Demigryph Knights bogged down as well. And once the Demigryph Knights are bogged down, because the Hex Rays have much faster speed, they can kind of dictate the pace of the engagement and just pick away at the wings, try and get rear charges on some of these lower leadership units. Like these Spearmen with shields, obviously, excuse me, with their chevrons, will hold out, but a good solid rear charge from a terror-causing unit like this when they're pretty low could potentially cause them to terror route. Even just getting into some of the Free Company and other units would have been useful. But credit to Jaime Lannister, you know, staying nice and tight here. Apparently getting crushed by a bunch of falling rubble didn't harm his tactical abilities too much. He is able to pretty much pull out a victory here. So we'll continue to soak up some cinematics, as there is going to be a bit more grinding of these units slugging it out in the trenches and trying to drag each other down. Volkmar screaming in victory here as the last of the vampire units are mostly dealt with. We do still have one more zombie summon here. Again, a little bit too little too late. The Graveguard have managed to rat off those Spearmen with shields, but they held out for so long against much superior units. Basically like High Elf Spearmen, but they don't have the loss of martial prowess when they get low on HP. They just retain their stats. And we'll have to look at the cost comparison, but I want to say that Spearmen with shields ranked up to rank 6 really aren't that expensive. I think they're pretty comparable to like High Elf Spearmen, if I want to say. We'll check after the fact. But yeah, this massive pocket of Free Company just popping pistols here. Oh man, I do love my gunpowder units. And Free Company are definitely a pretty cool one. The original sort of sword and pistol unit. Not to be usurped by the silly zombie pistols of the Vampire Coast. Free Company are a very good unit in a number of matchups. You really don't see them used often enough, in my opinion. I am actually a pretty big fan of them. So, yeah, they do quite well here. This is definitely a matchup where, you know, like I said, they can fight off zombie summons relatively effectively. I mean, granted, they will get tied down, but they're not going to fall over like a lot of skirmishers will to zombie summons. They can kind of hold their own. They can hold their own against skeleton tier units as well. And you really don't need a lot of AP missiles against the vampire counts. A lot of their high-value units that you want to be shooting at, things like corpse carts, what's the other one? The Mortis engine as well has pretty low armor, so honestly, Free Company do just fine at gunning that down. I mean, shooting things like Graveguard, obviously, Blood Knight, stuff like that, you do on AP, but even a lot of the monsters for the vampire counts, you know, the Vargolf has low armor. Even the Terrorgeist only has 70, which is a good amount, but it's not a ton. So, yeah, Free Company Militia will do just fine here. And you can see the balance power now heavily tipping as the Vampire Lord gets completely surrounded. Volkmar delivering the righteous smiting hammer of justice to the foul Vampire Lord. And he falls, fittingly, next to the corpses of his ghosts. Would you call them corpses of ghosts? That sounds just strange to say. But anyway, fun battle from Jaime. Definitely glad he sent me that one. And he did get a number of wins with Empire. So for those of you Empire fans like myself, definitely looking forward to seeing a couple more of his replays. So yeah. Excellent use of the ranked up Spearmen again. I really like that. 142 kills on these guys, just holding off all the chaff. 95 and 160 for the 2 unbreakable units. They did very well also. 64 for the Sterling's Revenge. Of course, the Demigryph Knights picking up a couple XP chevrons, just ripping apart those Hex Wraiths with the support of that Bright Wizard. And, interesting to see dual casters from the Empire. It's not super unusual, but certainly I do understand having both of these lores magic in this particular matchup. As for Zombie Mike, Hex Wraiths can be decent. They're just super risky to bring in this matchup because of the Empire's has a lot of access to magic damage. They have Lore of Fire. Some of their units have baseline magic damage. Obviously, you have like the Templehof Luminarch, Silver Bullets. You've got the Hammer of Witches. There's other sources of magic damage as well, different area of effect, damage effects, and just in general, I think the Hex Wraiths are going to be a pretty tough sell against the Empire. If we have a look here, I mean, they are really, really fast. That's kind of their main advantage. But personally, I would say rather than taking Hex Wraiths, you're probably better off to take Blood Knights instead. Blood Knights still will get kind of wrecked by Demigryph Knights if they're juiced up, but the difference with Blood Knights is you can heal unit models, they have really good armor and bonus versus large, and an insane charge bonus. If you can manage to catch out Demigryph Knights with these guys, they will do a ton of damage. Like in that last build, you could have cut like one of those corpse carts, maybe downgraded a couple skeletons to zombies, and you would have been able to afford to upgrade both of those Hex Wraiths to Blood Knights, which I think would be a lot better, especially against the Empire, because again, they do have access to a lot of magic damage. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.